Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's Making Light Two Humans Being. I'm Julie here. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, Kate Foggo. And as you can see, we have a very special guest star today. So I have to say, when I was a kid, I grew up with Mickey Mouse Club, and there was a whole song about guest star day, and that's ringing through my head right now. Anyway, Danielle MacKinnon, our teacher for soul level animal communication and soul level intuitive coaching. She's also a mentor. She has a whole community that we're a part of that has opened us up. It's called Be Open. She is here with us today, and we couldn't be more excited. You can't tell by my big smile. So yeah, welcome, Danielle, to Making Light.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited. We've been trying to arrange this for a little while.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
Well, we talk about you so much, Danielle, so there'll be all these people that'll be like, oh, she exists then.
Oh, this is her.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
No, we're so excited to talk with you today. So what we thought we would do today is, because usually as those of us who watch the show regularly, we talk about being human as well as being intuitive and how those things kind of balance or don't, or oh my gosh, what all we do. So today we thought we would talk about the theme of living authentically. And that word authentic can trip up people a lot because to some degree, sometimes it gets bastardized, sometimes not. But we thought we would talk about what it means to live authentically as an intuitive in this world. And so we thought we'd start off with there. What does that mean to you, Danielle?
What does living authentically as an intuitive mean to me? Well, it's the same as living authentically as a normal human being, really. I think because of the way I grew up, there were some challenges in the way I grew up. In the beginning, I really wanted people to know that I wasn't perfect. And I felt like if I let you know all my crap, then you're never going to have expectations of me that I can't meet. And so I think I began kind of showing everybody who I was early on because I was afraid. It was coming from a place of fear. But as I have grown up and matured and learned stuff, I've realized that, well, it's actually just better to be who I am anyway, because that is way easier. It's actually easier to just be who I am and have things be the way that they're going to be. So my authentic living of kind of just letting my goofiness, my dorkiness, my need to have things be perfect, which they never are. For example, this that's going on here. Normally, this and this match, and they are not matching because my dog had to be there. And I just got to get over it. But I'm not going to not tell you that that's annoying me. So there's authentically. But what I find that living authentically does is it allows people to see who you really are. And then they decide they like you, or they decide, hey, I'm going elsewhere. And I really want only people who I like and who like me to be in my world. So it's kind of like a very natural filter.
That's an amazing way of describing it, because actually when we talked about this, I had an immediate reaction because living authentically has become such a word, and yeah. I was just like, I don't know what to do with that. But actually that idea of this is who I am and I only want people I like around me is amazing. That's really good, because what started this conversation with Julie is I was like, there's always like, be yourself, everybody tells you to be yourself, and actually you were the first person who actually meant it genuinely, as in I was always told as an engineer and everything, that was great, I love that you bring questions to the table, Kate, this is great, be yourself, and everything you read tells you to be yourself. And then you get to a level where they go, if you could be yourself like this, please. Like, well, and that I found that really hard, because that only came to me sort of later in life when I got to a certain level in management, senior management, and then they're like, yeah, we need you to be more like this. And you're like, well, hang on, you told me all the gifts I had that made me special made me like this, but actually what you're saying is we want you to be like that. But and then you're like, now I don't understand what you're talking about. And you were the first person that said, no, I really mean it, and it
was hard to get that through your head, Kate. It was hard to get you to see that all the stuff, the way that you reacted to things, the way that you thought about something, the way that you perceived somebody else's behavior to you, the words that somebody would say, you kept, for a long time, you kept really trying to change your reaction. And I watched you learn that your reaction to something was actually the valuable piece, how you perceived it, what your experience was, versus kind of trying to make it all be spiritual and lovely and
Well,
positive.
it may appear spiritual now. It used to be just like a lot of it's confusion, because people would say, be yourself, but not like that. And you're like, I don't get this. I don't understand. All I knew is that you know, what you say you like about me, you only like to a point. And then beyond that, and I don't understand this line. I don't have the same lines as you. I don't know what you're talking about. Julie, have you got experience of this?
No, I was gonna say, Danielle, when you were giving your definition or your experience with living authentically, I was thinking, wow, how brave. And I was thinking back to me being a little girl, when I would look at all the flowers, you know, even if it was a dandelion. I love dandelions. But looking at all the flowers and trying to show like my mom or show somebody else, or even when I was in kindergarten and we had Valentine's Day, I personally hand delivered the little Valentine to every single person in the class. And I remember my mom and my teacher, they were either laughing at me or enjoying it or something, but it began that squashing down. And so from then on, when I look back, particularly over my advertising career, having the same experience as Kate does, like, yeah, be yourself, but oh wait, no, don't do that. And I remember as I look back, I feel very milquetoasty in that I never really truly was, because I wanted so badly for people.
No, you have to explain that, Julie.
The milquetoast part?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
I know what it means, but because we're
international, Julie.
I know. Yeah, it's like bland, just bland.
Okay.
And just like blend in, don't make waves, like all of that. And even the bit that you said too, Danielle, about if I don't care, those who like me, then I want you in my space. If you don't like me, then I don't need to have you in my space. That to go through all this process that Kate and I have gone through in the certification, that was huge. That's still something that's ongoing and unfolding. But to have had, you know, I look back for a little bit while you were saying that at that little 5-year-old girl in her perfect little dress, matching her 2-year younger sister, because my mom always had us matching, and thinking, oh my gosh, how cool would that have been? But I wouldn't be what I am either now had I not gone through all that too. So I don't know that.
I agree with you. If I hadn't gone through all the times of being told I was too sensitive, I was too much, I was being selfish for speaking up for my needs, like all of these things that I experienced made me. Can you hear that?
Is it a woodpecker or someone?
No, it's not a woodpecker. It's construction.
Oh. Sorry.
Wouldn't have heard it if you hadn't mentioned it, Danielle. It's fine.
No, you can definitely hear that. All of these things that I went through are the experiences that made me realize how important it was to be me. When I first, this is an odd way to come about it, but when I first got on TikTok, I didn't care about TikTok, and it was this stupid thing, and someone was like, try TikTok. So I got on, I made like a 30-second video, and I was a total dork, and I had no attachment. So I was just like, whatever, I'll do that, fine. And it was kind of a joking thing, but I was completely myself. I wasn't trying to be professional. I wasn't trying to fix my words. I wasn't trying to figure out the algorithm. And when I did that, it was just me, and it ended up working out really well. But then I got attached, and I was like, wait a minute, that worked well. This is great. I need to do this perfectly. And when I started trying to do it perfectly, what happened is I lost the me. And whenever I start losing me, things in my business don't go as well, because I'm trying to be professional. I'm trying to do it properly. And unfortunately, there's kind of like no part of me, it seems, that is professional or proper. That's milquetoast. as you're saying. But every time I come back to me and I just be me, it works so much better. My work works so much better. My happiness is so much better when I don't try to do it right.
So what point, Danielle, did that happen for you? When did you actually like get that? When did you stop? Because we all get squashed down for all those reasons, especially us sensitive folk. And then I used to get in trouble. And then, I mean, I was actually quite bolshy as a child. I may have been sensitive or didn't know I was sensitive. I was actually quite outspoken, but I would still get squashed down and squashed down and squashed down. At what point in your life did you think, hang on a second, like what drove you to do that? For me, I was 52, because it was when I met you. Up until I've been living what I thought, if someone said, do you live authentically, I'd have been like, how patronizing are you? Of course I do. But like I didn't know that I was allowed to be me. I was privately, but I wasn't allowed to be me publicly, as it were. So what drove you to that realization?
I think that I keep having that realization again and again.
Okay.
Like, I think I got it when I decided in college that I wanted to go to mindfulness classes, right? I started like trying to do my own thing, but then I forgot it. But then I remembered it, and I really think it's a continual learning experience for me, because my original training was blend in. Try to be like everybody else. Don't let anyone know how you feel. Don't stand up for yourself. Make everybody else happy. And by making everybody else happy, then you're being a good person. That's all that really matters. And it turns out that that's not true. And that, but so I'll get away from it, right? I'll be fine. Everything's moving along fine. I'm being myself. And then I try something new, or I get attached. I lose it when I get attached and I'm trying too hard. So, I mean, I can probably every year there's a different lesson in Danielle remembering to be her normal self and not the proper self that the training says. So I can't, I mean, the most recent time was probably like 2 weeks ago, like it keeps coming. So I don't think, Kate, that you, saying that your first time realizing it was at 52, I don't think that that's actually accurate. I feel like you heard it again and again before that. You were able to embrace it and do it, but you knew that that was a thing before that, didn't you?
I did, and but I got no recognition or reinforcement. I was, I suppose I'm talking about professionally, because in my private life I was just me, and actually, like, I wasn't quiet. I may have been sensitive and all that, but I used to fight my way all the time with my parents. I was arguing constantly, and I was always in trouble at school. So like, I wasn't a shrinking violet, but I didn't realize that the more adult I got, the more responsibility they put on me to be a certain way, and I took on all this responsibility. But I didn't even know I was doing it, because I was so bolshy and angry and reactive. I didn't even realize I was a slave to it all until I had a breakdown and sort of came out the other end of it. But I think it was probably in the professional world, and I got so disheartened. And I know Julie has the same background, because I actually got to quite a senior position, and we were a small business within a big business, but we were a growing business. And just by mistake, I got to the top, because nobody died, but somebody got really sick, and then something, it was like nobody thought I was senior management material, but I was there and I was doing it. And then it started to change. And I was like, everything that's made us successful, people get to some level and then they forget it all. It's like suddenly they start managing up instead of and you're like, this is not, and everything that you say is valuable about me, you're now shutting me down. And that really freaked me out at that stage. It was like, I don't want to do this. You've taken every ounce of joy out of everything I've ever wanted to do. But it still took me 10 years to leave, probably.
It took me a long time to leave the corporate world as well, even though every sign I received was like, go, time to go. But I was afraid. I wasn't so afraid of, I was not afraid of doing something weird or different. I was actually afraid of money. The weird or different. I started to, sometime in college, I did start to realize that I'm just kind of like who I am, and I'm kind of doing that. Like, I started to be like, it's too much work in some ways to try and be like everybody else. So there were some ways where I kind of gave up trying to be like everybody else. Like nobody around me was vegetarian. I was vegetarian. Like, okay, you know what? That's fine. You can all. I was the worst vegetarian ever because what did that mean? That meant I ate the same food as everybody else, but without the meat. That didn't work that way. I needed to learn. Oh,
No, your camera
what
flipped.
happened?
I don't know. It just decided to change.
That's so weird, isn't it? All right, let's fix that. But I think I just
Oh,
there we go. I have no idea. I think in some ways I just ended up giving up and being myself in some areas, but in other areas where money was concerned, where reputation was concerned, where anything that could possibly get in the way of me having a professional experience, that's where I hung on. That's where I hung on a long time. So I understand what you're saying about wanting to be accepted. But here's the crazy thing, that even in my corporate job, when I was excelling because I wasn't doing it like anybody else.
Me too.
I was
Yeah.
in marketing and event planning. And I just decided, well, this is crazy, all the stuff that needs to be done. So I made my own system of organization because I'm old, and this was before like Asana and Slack and all that. Those didn't exist. So I made my own one in a spreadsheet, but no one was doing that. So here I was kind of innovating, which really now today that's not innovation, but back then it was. And that made me excel. But they don't want me to excel too much. They don't want me to branch out too much, because then I'm not controlled. Because then I'm not, they don't know what to do with me. In the corporate world, they want to know what to do with you. They want you to do it this way, but not really. So I understand what you're saying, Kate. But as an intuitive, embracing that made me like, the minute I said, all right, I'm putting myself out there as an intuitive, it was kind of like, can I swear? I'm just going to say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I was
We
basically
encourage
like,
it.
fuck you to all the rest of the world and this stuff. Because embracing that meant I didn't have to do all that weird corporate stuff. Embracing that meant I didn't have to follow those rules anymore.
yeah. It's so interesting, the fuck you thing. I met some people the other night. I had to go to
Hang on a minute, Julie. Gotta say, you said that really quietly, like it wasn't allowed.
Well, because I'm not, okay, fine.
What?
Because I didn't want to come right out with a fuck you. I just wanted to like, that's what she's calling me out on. She does that. Anyway, I had to go to Brad's company Christmas dinner the other night, and I sat next to a couple that, of course, I didn't know. I don't really know anybody at Brad's company. And I kind of like doing this now, where someone turns to me and says, "And what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, wait for it. And then I tell them. I knew before I said it that it wasn't going to go over well. And of course, the conversation ended. And then I ended up talking to another couple that I actually really liked, and it was totally fine and whatever. But it is interesting. The more I talk about it, the more things I do in this new career, I will say, the more comfortable I am, the more capable I am actually to even say no to things I don't want to do. And yes to things I want to explore, sometimes a little more things that I want to explore than I've got time for. But going back even to when I was, when I got signs, like you were talking about, Kate was having signs all along. I remember having signs all along that I wasn't doing what I really should be doing. I just didn't even know how to begin to figure out what it was I should be doing. I just felt so bereft, and I just felt so like empty. And it wasn't until, I had many of us, right, that find we have an animal that passes, and then it starts this whole thing. But I just remember looking back going, oh my gosh, I had all these signs. I even remember saying to the woman, that my last corporate boss, when she went to hire me, I remember saying to her, oh, great, because if you weren't going to hire me, I was actually going to become a dog musher and leave all this behind. And I actually I did mean it. and I didn't go through with it. So like I just see like these opportunities that I could have done something, but again, not criticizing anything that's happened, because it is what it was supposed to be. So anyway.
But you, like me, Julie, have found the hardest thing, although I didn't know what else to do. I don't think I was afraid of, I've not been afraid of being different. I've always wanted to be different, to be honest. It was more of just not really knowing what else I could do. But you, like me, have been now trapped in the money cycle, isn't it? That's sort of what's, I wouldn't say holding us back, but one of the biggest things we struggle with, even though we know we shouldn't, is the whole money thing. Because, and I mean, you taught us to hold our ground and be to state our worth, and actually I think together, like Julie helps me because I'm a bit in a poverty mentality at the moment of charging the prices, but there is still, we both have the fear over money at the moment, I think.
But I think there's a lot of fear right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of insecurity. So on top of doing something that's different, on top of having to be your own self and have your own business, then there's all this other weird insecurity going on in the world right now. And I wonder if you're doing yourself a disservice by thinking that this is your all your baggage, versus there's also some kind of, let's call it global baggage going on as well right now. I know, Kate, you tend to think it's all you, and of course, yeah, there's stuff, we all have our baggage, but there's also some bigger stuff going on right now.
I hear myself telling other people that all the time, and do I really take it in? I don't know, but yeah, because I haven't watched the news for years and years and years, and that way I have always been different. I'm like, I don't care, and I just say if it's important, it will get through to me eventually. And people think I'm stupid, whatever. I'm like, I actually don't care now what you think. And that was actually because I realized now my mother used to love the news, and it took me a long time to realize there was something really unpleasant about people that take joy in a hostage situation and do you know what's happened, and then watch it over and over, and you're like, I can't do this. I've lost my thread anyway, but yeah, there is so much stuff, and it's hard. I really try not to get involved, but it's hard. It's really hard at the moment not to feel, especially, I don't know what it's like for you guys. I'm cold because we won't put the heat, well, we have got the heat on. We're scared. We're actually scared of energy prices, and it's just stuff like, I never used to care about things like that. I've never been wasteful, but I sort of said I would rather die of poverty warm than die cold. I'm going to put the heating on. And yet now I'm a bit like, should I? Anyway, let's not talk about poverty mindsets, because
it is a big thing, because a lot of people think, wow,
it keeps doing that.
It's as soon as you look away, it's
what's happening? Hold on.
Yeah.
A lot of let me I don't understand why it's bounced. Oh, hold on.
Oh, technology.
What do I say? I don't even know. I don't know why it's doing that.
That's
a lot of people think that to be an intuitive, you are you shouldn't charge, right? Because it's a gift and you're not supposed to charge for a gift. Or B, that if you are in this realm, that you can't make money. One of the things that I've found is that I don't worry about the money so much anymore on a day-to-day basis. When I'm meeting people, I am secure and, hey, I've created a business, I'm doing stuff, and I like what I do and I feel good about it. So when I'm telling people what I do, I have to remember that there are some people out there who will look at somebody who is a intuitive or in this realm and assume that they're like just doing this an hour a week, and that's not a real job. They're just saying that about themselves, but really it's coming from some like who don't believe or don't agree or don't think it's a real thing. And I think because I believe in it so much, I forget that some people think that way. And I have to kind of remind myself, oh, they don't know that I do a whole thing, that I'm busy all the time and doing different, like I have to remind myself, because my belief in what I'm doing is so strong. And I feel like the more strong that I have become in that belief, the more I have believed in, I'm creating something, I'm doing stuff, I'm helping people, this is real work that's happening. This more strongly I've believed in that, the less I run into people who are not believing in me, or who are not believing in what I do, or who are minimizing it. And because of that, I find that when I'm in that great belief place, the money thing isn't so scary. But I will come to a place where usually it's when I'm trying something new, or there's a goal I want to reach, and then I get clingy. I get like, I need to make this happen. And when I'm in a I need to make this happen, then I start worrying about money, and then I start meeting people who aren't believing in me, and then I start trying to get all perfect and do it right. And Kate, I see you smiling like, yeah, you know this, feeling.
I know it in theory. I'm not able to practice it. I mean, it's absolutely law of attraction. It's everything I believe, and it's everything I tell people, and they go, oh, that's great, you've changed my life, Kate. And I sit around going, yeah, I know, I wish I could do it for me. I get more and more acknowledgement that what I'm doing is the right thing, in the sense that there's I've been connected, like I've been back in touch with Maria's family, and like I had a reading with her sister, and I still keep in touch with her mom, and just moments like that where people, you get so much feedback from people, you're like, I'm fucking good at this, and I feel amazing doing it. But it doesn't, so I get those moments, but they don't last. I'm hoping it will come. At the moment, there's not enough of it. When I was busy, like over my month of October, that was brilliant, and I could actually keep the wave going. And then we're back in November, and December even, and then it goes quiet, and then I get the fear.
When I get quiet,
that's
when I start thinking up new things to do. I'm not saying that this is great. I start thinking of new things, a new class, a new direction, a new thing to add in. And then I get really busy. And for me, when I'm very busy, I feel better. I don't think that's necessarily healthy, but I get creative when I get really quiet. And then I overload myself with all the things that I just thought of, because it becomes unquiet, and then it's too much. But I understand when it's like this, I really don't like that either.
I think Julie and I are both always too busy, though. It's, it's just not, for me, it's not paid work, but I'm always busy.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I noticed the waves too. I'm actually at a point where I'm really busy, and I'm trying to figure out, wait a minute, what I know I need to let go of some things. So what is it that I need to let go of? And I think, kind of bringing back to a point you were making, Danielle, that when we're in a moment of fear or thinking or feeling weighty, that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. So it's not all on us. And also the flip side, when we're living more authentically, we have the ability, just by being in that authenticity, to make a ripple effect and help make the world a better place. Which for me, because I always want to think, oh my gosh, how am I going to make the world a better place? And I'm focused on that end thing, and I got to be perfect when I get there. But it's really, as I'm learning, it's all the experience, and it's the enjoying of the ripples, which could also be those waves. But I do think that that busy part has been a really interesting place to be right now, because it's like, what is it that I really, really want to do? Where is it that I need to show up authentically? How can I authentically contribute to something and let that be? And that's where I'm just now realizing what I actually have to do as I say this all out loud. But yeah, so there's an element of that in there too. I don't know.
So what do you have to do? Go and share.
No.
I'll be late an episode. You see, I try so hard not to be busy, because I think it's Nick Bro very, very early on in all this, before I actually met you, Danielle, who did a lot of his stuff. And then I joined that group. I remember I was having coaching with you, and I said, there's this group I want to join, and you said, but I did, and I hated them.
But you had to go through it. You
I had to do it. But
why did you hate it?
why did I hate? Well, no, that's a strong word.
No,
Because
why did you not like that group though? There was a particular reason.
Because they were all so it's a high vibration, which I know that being around other high vibration people is a really great thing to do. I am so I know law of attraction. I can feel in my bones. I know it is true. My question when I'd ask in the group is, I understand all of this, but for some of us that have hurt, how do you do this? You know, it's like, it's all very well telling me, I get it, I understand it, but I don't feel it. And they were just really, I felt like someone who just waded in on a banana boat, if you're allowed to still say that, I don't know. Like they were treating me like I was some sort of fucking village idiot. You know, like, well, you know, you know, bringing this up isn't helpful. And it's like, but I can't get past this. Don't treat me like an idiot. I can't get past this. I'm asking for help to get past this. I understand what I have to do, and it's not working for me. And I just felt really smug.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of that right now, of people who are, they like have this much of it. They have this much of what needs to be done or what the answer is, but all this other part isn't there. And so there's, you know, be positive, be happy, think happy thoughts, etc. But for those of us who are having all of these other things going on, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me to just think happy thoughts. I want to understand, well, why do I feel the way I feel? Where is this coming from? What does it mean? What can I learn from it? I want to actually do the healing work, so that then as I'm growing and I'm moving forward, these things are not weighing me down. They're not getting in the way, because I understand them. Maybe those patterns will still be there, but if I understand it, it softens, it's easier, and I feel like I have a way through. And you know, I'm finding, like, on social media, there's a lot of, what is it? Keep calm and be smile, or whatever the, you know what I mean. And it just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me.
But that's why I got so irritated with Nick Rowe, because he actually is very much Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks is very much their target audience. I know that they probably realize there are some people that struggle, but they're going for the majority of people where they say these are the things that will work. Nick Rowe took that and said, I understand there are some people who struggle with this. You know, it's fine if you haven't had those wounds, you can follow this. But for those of us that hit a wall, that was the point of his group. And that's why I felt so frustrated. And yet, as I learned with you, that's what the soul level coaching does, is it helps you understand why you can't just go snap out of it, which is the share thing, which, you know, because, you know, it just doesn't work. And I'm beginning to realize that my unique selling point is I have a lot of
this face. Is this face? Yes.
But that, you know, I try so hard. I don't try quite so hard now, but like, I've been through a lot to even get here, and I can still see there's more. So I want to be that person that goes, do you know what? Don't give up, because there is a way, because there will be people all around you. I give people coaching and they dance off into the sunset and they live a fucking brilliant life and they're so pleased. And I'm like, yeah, why can't I do that?
Do you think that you would be great as a coach if you had figured all your shit out? Like, I think that I have to have as much stuff to figure out. And I mean, I'm having realizations over the past week about my childhood and some people and And so what's happening is I'm having those realizations, and as I suss through them and I start to understand myself better, I develop a new compassion for myself. I develop through my guides a new way of looking at it. And then I'm able to bring that out to the people I'm helping and working with. So if you didn't have that, Kate, I don't think I would want to hang out with you. Like, because you'd be saying you have your shit together, and nobody has their shit together.
They'd be smug, wouldn't they?
Yes.
We don't like smug people.
Yeah, I don't enjoy being with people who say they have all of the answers, because I don't believe that anybody has all of the answers. And that's why whenever I'm teaching, whatever I'm doing, I'm always letting people know, I don't know this part. I know this part. I've done this part 9 million times, but here I have no idea. And I feel like anybody who puts themselves out there as having all the answers or knowing the whole thing, that's not authentic. I feel like when we know all the answers, or when I say I know everything about this topic, there's no reason for me to be alive anymore.
Yeah.
I've learned the whole thing. And then why am I still here? There's no reason for me to be here if I've learned it all. So all those people, the funny thing is, I think some of them don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Some of them know that they don't know, but they're saying they know because they're hoping that that will make them money, or, make people look at them a certain way. That's the filter for me. If you tell me you don't know, I immediately like you.
Yeah, to me, that's even like an invitation to explore something or talk about something, or, yes, I can. And even, it's people that are like, just be happy, just be nice, that type of a thing. That's the milk toasting of people. That's no.
But it's also the taking out of the real feelings and the real emotions that are going on there. And I was taught that growing up, that I shouldn't have those feelings, I shouldn't have those thoughts, none of that should exist. So if I'm crying and someone says don't cry, I'm immediately like, you get away from me. Don't tell me not to cry. Don't tell me it's not upsetting. No. I'm going to cry. These are my feelings, and I get to have these feelings even if they're not attractive.
Yeah, like anger for me.
Yeah. So I was somewhere with my husband and a friend, and I was saying, you know what? This person at the gym, they're putting me off. They're walking around with their nose in the air. They're acting like, they're the queen of the gym. And my friend said, oh yeah, they do act like that, but they're, they have a hard job. And he kept making all of these excuses, and I was like, no. There's no reason to act like that ever in life. There's no reason to not embrace other people or to have an open heart. And he kept making these excuses. And for me, that's a hard line, right? That's a hard line. Nobody owns everything. Nobody's in charge of everything. Nobody has all of their shit together. And he goes, you're as hard as she is. And I was like, what? He's like, you are. You decided you don't like her. And I'm like, well, yep, I guess I am.
Yeah. That happens too, where you run up against somebody that for lack of a better word, triggers you or something to that effect. And then I had that too. And I worked at this company long ago. There was a client that I had that just every email she wrote, I just went right back at her. And so my boss, not the one that usually comes up, but another one long ago, said, well, that's because she's showing you exactly who you are, and the things about you don't like. And I'm like, oh. And I mean, it took me a while to understand it wasn't like lightning bolts, but after a while I'm like, damn it.
But I don't think that I think this person is actually modeling a way I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Like this is, well, I totally understand. And I've heard that so many times. There's something in you, But what she's triggering in me is it's not, I don't want to hold that. I don't want to be the one in the power, and the all-knowing one, and the one who says who's in, who's out, who's on, who's off. I don't want that. And I've done so much in my life to put myself in a place where it's not just dependent in that way on me. So I'm watching her model that, and it's helping me know even more that is what I don't want. But there's always that fear in me, I think, because of the way I grew up, that I'm going to be the narcissist kind of person, because that's what I grew up around, and that's what I'm seeing in that person. It really worries me.
Yeah. I see that with like my mom can be extremely judgmental. And so when I start to hear that come out of my mouth sometimes, oh, there's Faye. Oh, let's bring that back in.
I take it she doesn't watch this.
No.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that when I went through sort of I can't remember at what stage it was, but like what triggers me and things like that. But that for me, it's like, why do I get triggered by people that look perfect and have lovely makeup and things like that? Why do I immediately associate all these negative things about them, that, oh, they must be stupid, or they must be airheads, or whatever? Like, I don't know where all that defensiveness comes from. I'm not sure I've got past it all, actually, because it does come up. I don't know if it triggers insecurity in me, but there is this level of, and this is huge arrogance on my part. I mean, it's my judgment that says, if you spend all that time getting ready, you clearly have nothing else to offer, but it's still there. I've worked on it. It's still there. Maybe it will come in time. I'm less angry with myself about a lot of things like it. That sometimes there's this guy on TV that Gary watches, and he watched it deliberately to annoy me. I don't even know if I should name him. You probably wouldn't have heard of him. I hate him. And I even tried as an exercise, because who gives a shit? He's just a man on telly. But he just really epitomizes everything I dislike in people. But maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe he's modeling stuff. He's smug. There we go again, there's that word. There is definitely, I'm still very judgmental about some things, and I haven't got to the bottom of it. But I do think there is an element of, and maybe it's what you're saying, they're modeling something, even if that's not who they are. It's what they're portraying, it's what they're putting out to the world, and there's something in that makes me go, you are exactly what I don't want. And it's by knowing what we don't want that we find what we do want, apparently.
But I find smug is not real. Smug to me means you are pretending that everything's all set and you have your stuff together, and you don't. Like, for me, smug is a lie. The only reason somebody's going to be smug is because there's an untruth under there. So for me, it triggers me that way, because lack of truth, lack of authenticity, lack of transparency about what's really going on, or what a feeling really is it's a trigger because of how I grew up, and I've spent so much time trying not to be in that. So when I see it first of all, I'm by myself, like can't deal with that person, and it definitely makes me feel angry. Smug makes me feel angry because I know there's an untruth in there. Like, can you imagine ever being smug yourself? Like, well, how would that even be? You guys don't lie. You're like, that's like, I can't. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Just tried to be smug about something, and I'm like, I can't. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think it comes from an inauthentic place. It comes from a lie.
Yeah.
A covering up of a truth, which to me is a lie.
Yeah.
I can't, and this is like, I can't remember, I think we were talking about this, Julie, about how judgmental I am about some things, but I can honestly say that probably because other than being outspoken and being deliberately rude, antagonistic, or whatever, I can honestly say I have not done wrong. I can probably count on my hands the number of times I have done wrong, because I was so scared. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's like lying. I don't believe I have ever lied in my life other than to protect somebody else. I just haven't. It's not that I think no, I do. I think it's the worst sin in the world. But I would lie now. I lie to my mother constantly now, but that's a deliberate keeping the peace thing, because she has dementia and that. And I would now lie to somebody to protect their feelings, but I don't believe I have ever lied about anything in order to protect myself, ever. I think I can say that hand on heart.
I do that all the time. I actually
lie.
I will tell white lies to protect myself.
I don't protect myself.
Oh, I do to protect. Yeah, I actually just did a little video on this the other day, because I realized it was a workaround for not.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So give us an example.
So I got a phone call. It was like the day after Thanksgiving, and no one really knew we were back here. We came home. We knew we were coming home early, but nobody else did. And somebody called me to do something, and I didn't want to do it. But I also knew that if I said no, they would fight me on it. So I just said, well, I'm not there right now. When really I was in my bed right next door. So, and then
Okay.
you
Yeah.
think about, wait, I do this as a workaround. So I had a little video about, so I will lie to protect myself.
I've done that. I'm sorry. I take it all back. I have done that to hurt someone.
I was sitting here
That's to
going, oh my
protect-
God, I know I've lied.
that's been to protect their feelings. I don't think it's to protect me. It's to
I've
protect
lied
their
when
feelings.
I was a kid, my mom would say, did you eat those cookies? I'd be like,
Oh
no.
no, see, no, I'd go to hell. You see, it comes straight at me. You go to hell for that. I know that. If you lie about
I
stuff
definitely
like
lied
that,
about the cookies.
Yeah.
I definitely lied about the
I did
cookies.
back then. Yeah.
And I've definitely lied breaking up with some guys. Yeah.
I probably did that too. I can't, thinking about them. Yeah.
it's funny as you get older, isn't it? Because I think when I was younger, that was the death penalty to catch someone in a lie, and now I'd be like, does it matter how much harm's really happened? Isn't it funny how things change?
But I think there's a difference between a lie to save someone's feelings. I'm not saying it's great, but there's a difference between that kind of lie and a lie saying you have your whole life together, you know exactly what you're doing, and you're not having challenges. And that's like what's on social media right now. These curated lives that aren't real, where somebody comes off as knowing everything about a certain subject, but they actually don't. That's the kind of lie that's really I think damaging, and it's damaging to all of us who are looking and going, but my life doesn't work that perfectly, but I have challenges in my life, but I'm not happy with this. And look at that whole thing. Like I've noticed on Instagram, because we built our house, I was looking at a lot of Instagrams of house building people make their whole life out to be so perfect. It's crazy. Like everything is styled so well. I mean, literally in my house, this is the most decorated room. And I have 2 pictures right there and 2 old, like this is it. This is as decorated as thing gets because I can't decorate. But these people, like the blanket is like askew in the right way with the little cup there and the whole thing. And the whole thing, my husband Chubby is such a handyman and he made this little cabinet and blah blah blah. And then you like look a little further and you're like, well, he's a contractor, of course he made a cabinet. So they're skewing it. They're always skewing it. And I think that's really prominent right now, which is why it's so awesome that you guys aren't doing that, which is why it's so awesome that you're finding your voice and yourself and your way and what really makes sense for you versus what is proper.
And I think with that, I think we've got our episode.
We will put in the show notes about where you can find Danielle's school, which is where both Julie and I learned animal communication and soul level intuitive coaching. So all the stuff that we talk about, we learned through Danielle, and of course little bits we sprinkle through the way. But really, Danielle, thank you, and thank you for being here. And we're so starstruck. I was like, oh my God, it's like meeting a teacher. It's like, it's like when suddenly you're a grown up and you bump into a teacher out of school and you're like, oh fuck. It's like, but we'll put all that in the show notes. Also, people have asked about this. Actually, I quite often send some of my clients to Be Open as well. Be Open is a community that Danielle has for sensitive people. We're all really nice. We're not actually really nice at all, are we?
We're all sensitive.
Yeah, we're all sensitive, but we're just genuinely supportive, and I think, well, we're different. I've never met a community like it. I didn't even know such people existed. So I will put all that in the show notes. So thank you, Danielle. Thank you so much. And thank you, Julie, as always. I'm Kate Foggo. This is Julie Hurt. Our guest has been Danielle MacKinnon. You can find us on YouTube. You can subscribe below, or you'll find us on Facebook and Instagram. If you have any comments about this or anything else, or any ideas for future shows or requests for guests, not sure we could outshine you, Danielle, but there we go. Put it in the comments. We read everything we get. And I think that wraps it up. And we are making light, two humans being, and thank you for watching / listening / whatever it is you do.